Okay. Okay, so we're going to get started now. Welcome you guys to J115, Introduction to Corrections. I have communicated with some of you and talked to you on the phone, some of you, and some of you answered emails and submitted posts, and even a few of you have submitted written assignments already, and I've actually gone through and graded them. So at any rate, I will tell you what I always tell all of my students, that 11 weeks goes by very, 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 very fast. Before you know it, we will be at week 11. Trust me. It seems like it's a ways, but it is important in this class that you keep your assignments up to date. Of course, I say that in every class that I have here, and try to make sure that you find yourself not getting too far behind. If you do, please do not hesitate to call me, email me, text me. I got this flat that's giving me fits here. Oh, anyway, I'm kidding. Sorry about that. But anyway, any way that you need to reach me. So we're going to jump right into this. I see names that I recognize. That means that we've had some communication. So some good communication. So let's get right started. Right into this stuff. Dive in. Okay. Right now, you should be seeing a familiar screen. And over here at the point where I'm pointing to, instructor information. If you see something other than Richard Wright, I want to know how you're seeing that, because that's who I am. My phone number, some of you already know it, 630-660-8480. It really does work, and I really do answer, and I really do respond, and I really do take the time to try to communicate. My rule says students can feel free to call me, text me, email me any hour of the day, except the 25th hour of the day. I will leave that to you to figure that one out and what that really means. But it means exactly what it says. It's not an error. It's not a joke. That's why I put it in bold print. And I have done that since I have been teaching, and since 2011, and students have found that, wow, it really does work. Yes. I have a motto. I say what I mean what I say. If I say that I'm going to try to do something, I'm going to try to do it. I expect my students to, in kind, also do that. We are a team. I did that earlier in my announcement stuff. I sent out to you my profile. I am the instructor, but, you know, it's okay to call me Richard or Professor Wright. Doesn't matter, whichever. The bottom line is that I am to you guys and to be your guide, your coach, and you are the players on the team, and I want to help you to be successful in this class. And if you follow the processes that I lay out, which I'm going to spend the next hour or so talking about, then you will be very successful. I do appreciate the fact that you take the time to come to these lectures. I will say this to you, I am required by the school in this particular course and in all the other courses that I teach to give one lecture a quarter. That means I could be done after today and no more lectures. But I choose not to do that because I like student contact. I used to do them every week, but because I have a bunch of students and I get a lower attendance, but I can tell you this, if you make time to get to the live sessions and not just listen to the archives, you'll get more out of your buck that you spend for tuition, and you'll gain more knowledge, and you'll have an opportunity to get things firsthand and help you a whole lot. So let's get down here, some rules. One of the first things that I share with you is that you are required to conduct research for all papers. That means the sole source of your paper should not be the textbook. The idea is that we want you to research. You will lose 2 points. This is not in the rubrics, but it is going to be one of the things that I tell you here and on the syllabus so that you will be aware of it. And if you do this, I will, in my comments, say, oops, you lost 2 points because of that. Every point counts, guys. And then the second point in this is all written assignments. All written assignments should be in APA format, which means there should be a cover sheet, there should be citations in the body of the paper, and, and references at the end. And your papers should be written in a scholarly fashion so that your citations are mere indications of where you got the information that you are including in your paper. And then you follow the APA format in terms of being able to do it properly. And I'm going to give you some resources that will help you with APA. Trust me, one of the main offenses of many students, and I've already had a student turn in a paper that did not do APA. They provided good information, but they didn't provide any citations or references, and they lost 5 points right off the bat. And you don't want that to happen. So it's a key thing, very important. Why are we doing this? Because we want you to understand is that when you are providing written information, you are doing research, you want to provide us with the source that you got that information. And it should be good scholarly information. Thus, we have a library and learning center, which I give you information here about to help you with your research. And we in the School of Justice Studies have an extensive library, and you can find the information that you need that's intended for School of Justice Studies in all areas: corrections, law enforcement, parole, probation, you name it. We have it right here for you. We do encourage you to use those. Times we want to use things that are out there outside of that, but you have to be very careful and make sure that it's credible resources. Now, let me say this. Never use Wikipedia. You guys, you probably already know why, but I'll just say this. It's because Wikipedia is a word-based website. What does it mean when something is word-based? It means that anybody can come along and change anything in there. Therefore, the credibility is suspect there. So, anyway, very, very, very important that you follow this APA requirement. Then we have provided for you some more information as to tutoring assistance. Now, listen to me good. Don't feel like, okay, I don't really need tutoring. Let me explain something to you. Tutoring is not just for students who are in trouble. Tutoring is also there to help you enhance your work. If you have any questions, the tutors are generally prepared to be able to help you. These are, by the way, students who are becoming tutors. I also offer the opportunity for any of my students who are doing well to reach out to Bethany Marston, our School of Justice Studies learning coordinator, to allow you to become a tutor. It has something to do with work study. I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I can refer you to it. But anyway, I give you the links to help you for tutoring. Very important. You can do it online, in phone, or in person. Okay. Then finally, on this side of the page, you already know this because you're here. And you know that there's an open house because you're here. But you also should be aware that today is Friday, but your live lectures will not be on Fridays. Will be every other Wednesday, starting with next week, week 2. You'll notice it says weeks 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And your live lectures will generally take place about an hour or so, sometimes even less, depending on the information that's involved. Today is not a lecture. This is an information session, and I will ask questions at the end because I want to make sure on a few things. Okay. So now the lectures will involve more questions throughout the period. We have information prospect, and if you clicked on this at one time, or I'll open it up and you can see it, it gives the steps for writing in terms of the writing lab, Grammarly. Make sure, guys, that you run your papers through Grammarly. Each of you as students have a free Grammarly account, and if you don't know how to set it up, you can contact me, and I will take you through the steps. But actually, if you go under, let me move this thing out of the way here, under Resources, and click on that, it will open up a tab that tells you how to do that. It's a free account. It's for your benefit, to help you. It doesn't take long, and it's very important because it helps you to increase your critical thinking, which we'll be talking about in a few minutes. So Grammarly, there's a writing lab involved, and then it talks about tutors again, okay? Now let me close that up, increase that. And then APA, I already told you about that. If you want to know more details on APA, this is the link right here. If you click on it, it will take you to where you can get some information. It will show you samples, examples of reference and in-text citations, what they look like. Formatting your papers properly with the cover sheet and everything. Very, very, very important. Why are we doing this? Because we are preparing you guys for your careers outside of school, and that you're going to end up authoring papers as professionals. I can tell you for sure, especially in any area of criminal justice and corrections. I have a student. I'm going to endeavor to have her come in sometime near the end of the quarter. She was a student of mine in 3 or 4 classes. She works in corrections. She's been in 15 years or more. She started herself while she was going to school, working her way up, became a lieutenant, and now she's a major, which is high as you can go in our state. She works at State Building, and I'm proud to say that she's got her associate's and bachelor's, and that she's on her way to law school, and I'm helping her work with that. So I'm going to have her, she and I already talked about trying to coordinate that time, so we'll be discussing that. She's a female, but she is actually one who has been in charge at times, many times, of the actual prison, you know. So, yep, yeah. She told me I use her name. Her name is Nina Watts. She's my friend on Facebook. And so, by the way, speaking of Facebook, if one of you guys want to send me Facebook requests, I have a lot of students that are on there. Only thing I tell one of my students, I did have one. She did this. She used to always put on her Facebook, oh, I'm not doing well in this class, or I'm falling behind. I said, don't put that on Facebook. But anyway, you can hit me up, Richard Wright, W-R-I-T-H-T, J-B, and you'll find. And if I don't accept it, it's because I don't know who you are. Sometimes you might have to message me and say, oh, yeah. But if I see some of your names, I will do it. Okay, so some of you guys have names that are not really your name, or you use your middle name for some things, as I'm now talking to one of my students. So anyway, the bottom line is that I'm here to help you. And then there's this student resource. Let's make this less. Okay, I want to show you this. You can download this and print this and save it. It gives you a link to student success to help you. This is for Q1 students, students who first start out. We have some here, but the fact of the matter is that all students can benefit from this. This talks about the Library and Learning Center. Again, there are links, library questions, writing guides to help you, and then, of course, you have your advisors. And I always tell people, they say, well, what about you guys? I said, they got peer mentors. I said, we are the coaches for the whole thing, and so we want to help you. By the way, peer mentors are different from tutors, and it tells you what they are experienced students and tutors who can share the inside scoop on how they've become successful. How do you first know that they're successful? You can't be a student tutor unless you are successful. Peer mentors can help you with resources, and don't be afraid to reach out to them. They're very good. They're very good. I know some of them are my students or former students. Some of them may be your classmates, and you don't even know it until you start to reach out to them. But very good and something very beneficial to help you. As you can tell, our goal is to help you to succeed and not fail. So anyway, referring back again to my welcome announcement that you all saw, tells you a little bit about me. Trust me, it says all this stuff here that you see, political science and law degree. I used books. We didn't have these things. I didn't have laptop. I had pencil and paper and pen. I rode the bus. I didn't have a car. I rode the L train from the south side of Chicago all the way downtown at night while raising kids. I have two daughters, more than two, but my oldest one during college days is now 46 and 45. And then I have a daughter who is 39. She was the one that was born after I graduated from Northwestern. And then I have one more that's 27. Those four produced me 11 grandkids. So I have worked hard, but here's what I want to tell you, is that I had my problems, but I had my mind determined to become that lawyer. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me at the end here today, so you'll understand why I am the way I am, and lets you understand that I can empathize with adversity. You'll see, and I'm going to hold that till the very end. Anyway, follow the announcements. Everything in here means what it says. If you get into these habits, develop. So, Professor Wright, that seems like a lot of work. You know what? Let me tell you something. If it was not a lot of work and something important, anybody could do it. Then anybody can do what you got to become good at. That's not true. Because if anybody could do it, then they don't need you. They could just grab anybody. No. Well-qualified, educated people. And that's what we're going to work on this quarter as far as in my class. I can't speak for other professors. I got my colleagues are in here too. But so anyway, this you have, but I just wanted to make sure that you paid attention to that. It's just sort of some people dive right into the assignments. I could tell some of the questions that are asked. Now, let's look at this week's assignment, because some people have started to ask, and I'm going to get more in detail, but the announcement every week is the key place you can find information that will help you to understand what's coming. That's one of the places. We're going to go to another place in a few minutes. Anyway, this will be correction systems and its history. Then how do you prepare for that? Read sections 1 and 2 of your text on And it says, and complete with an introduction to correction systems or historical perspective. This is not an assignment. You'll see why I say that in a few minutes. But I always put them in because students don't pay attention to things sometimes if they don't see it. And this will enhance your ability to complete your assignments and your learning experience in the subject at all. Okay? And then we talk about, the lectures taking place beginning next week. I give the website again back here where we are here. Then I refer to discussion assignments, justification for punishment. Many of you guys have done very well with it. I've responded to some, and I've posted some stuff on there, as a matter of fact. Notice this week only, initial posts are due tonight by 11:59 p.m. The college originally, and some of your professors you might see, had it Thursday. But my dean said that we could do it up to Saturday. So I went to Friday night, 11:59 p.m. for the initial posts. Many of you post them right away. And I started looking at some, responding to some, smiling, looking at some of them, shaking my head, and excellent, excellent, excellent. But starting next week, your initial post will be due on Tuesdays. You'll see that in another place in a few minutes as well. And your reply post is due by Saturday. That is the standard rule, except when we get to week 11. That's a ways away, so not to worry about that. But you'll be aware of that near the time when it comes and when it comes. Now, I want to say right now that your discussion posts, when you submit them, should be in accordance with the rubric. I sent you a rubric that came in an email. You got a welcome email from me, and then you also got a rubric email. And in that rubric email, I discussed some of the assignments, particularly the project as well as the discussion. I am one who read these discussion posts, and I will let you know if they're good, what's wrong with them. I'll let you know why you lose points. I will tell you that every discussion post that is submitted late loses a point for each day. And you will also discover this, is that your posts must be in during the course of the week of the discussion. In other words, say, for example, you fall behind. And the next week comes this time, make up my discussion post. The answer is no. And it's a school rule, and we'll be covering that in a few minutes. So, and the reason why, it's not we're trying to be difficult. Think about this. Why do we have discussion posts? Discussion posts take the place of us coming together. You guys are all over the place. I mean, I got quite a few in Illinois this time, but there's students I have in Florida. I have a student that's down in Georgia. I have students that are all over the United States. I have Alaska. I have usually Wisconsin, and I have a lot of Minnesota students and few Kansas. Anyway, the point of the matter is that our form of discussion takes place in the discussion forum. So if you were physically in the classroom and we were discussing something this week and you come next week, we're not going to start all over again. That's the same concept there, so you'll understand that. Finally, we have the written assignment, elements of the correction system. And I said, make sure you follow the APA formats, Grammarly, and so forth. Then you have the quiz. Now, let me say this to you about the quiz. You don't have quizzes every week. You'll see it by your schedule coming up here. When you take those quizzes, I highly recommend taking I had a student that took the first day and they didn't do well. I said, no, don't do that. You take the quiz at the end of the week. Your assignments are due on Sunday. So as a result, it would behoove you to probably do an assignment so that you can have read the material, reviewed some comments or had some questions answered about the other assignments. And like I said, you read the chapters or gleaned the chapters. When I was in school, I learned how to read very fast, and I still can't do it. I have what they call a photographic memory, and I can remember stuff. I'm older now, and so the point of the matter is that I can remember things by closing my eyes and opening them up, and then I can see it. But anyway, my point is that I used to sit down and amaze people with it. But anyway, the point of the matter is all I'm simply trying to say to you is that the quiz is like a summary of what the assignments were your week. So that you don't jump into that right away. You have a tendency to want to do that, and you lose points. Then the course project. Now, here, you will be, which is true, you will review the introduction this week. So this assignment is also due by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Well, that's not totally accurate, but what it is that I put this in here this way because I want you to look at it. And I've had students already say, what do I do for the introduction? And then I said, come to the open house or listen to the archive, and you'll discover that what I'm really doing is I'm not playing games with you. I'm saying, you know, students sometimes when they see that something is not an assignment or close to an assignment, they just say, oh, I'll let it go. No, you're missing something very valuable. This introduction will help you. I cannot tell you, I've taught this class, this is my third or fourth quarter teaching this intro to corrections, and I can tell you that every student, at least I have one or two students, and I have in this section 1 and 2, probably 91 students, let's see, 60, I think 60 of my students are from these two sections. But I have a student inevitably or some students to come back and they miss this introduction and they don't get, by the way, what to do for their class project, and they lose the points that you'll see me cover in a minute. So I try to get you started on the right foot. Okay. Then it talks about the open house, and then talks about my motto, adversity is the springboard to success. So now, with that having been said, let's take a look at the syllabus. Let me stop sharing for a minute. I have a student who has no sound, and I know why. Is that, let me type into the chat. You must connect the audio to get sound. Okay, go to the audio tab. Let me send this first. Bear with me a minute. Up here, and click on audio, and then it'll guide you from there. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving forward. You'll get it, and you'll get your sound there. Okay, so let's go back to where we were here. This is the syllabus. Now, the syllabus is a contract between you and the university, and I'm to abide by it. I provide you information starting out with my name, my phone number, my email address, which says richard.wright2. Well, you say, wait a minute, I saw earlier that yours was richard.wright@rasmussen.edu. Yes, that is true. But what I'm saying is that use that or the 2, and I will still get it. This little language here is the language, again, that I referred to earlier on the course requirement for research and APA requirement. Okay. Okay, we'll pass that. Read this on your own time. So now let's jump down to here. Grading. Oops, went too far. Let's talk about the grading criteria first. Here's what, this is all you have to do in this class. Discussions, which constitute every week 20 points, 10 points for each initial post, and 10 points for one reply post. Now, listen to me good. You can reply, and I encourage you to reply to more than one of your colleagues' posts, but you will not get extra points. What it does do is it makes the discussion more interesting, and you also learn from each other at the same time. So it's a beneficial thing for you to do. And make sure that these discussions are not just one-liners, one-worders, you know, and those kind of things. I want to see some content. I want to see some information. You don't always have to have references and citations, but if you do, they're welcome. The key thing is to get them according to the rubric, which I've provided to you, and I'll share with you again today, and also to make sure that you get them in on time, as I've already given you the time period. Notice this is 28.2% of your grade. Then your written assignment is for 305 points, or 39.1% of your grade. Now that's not your project. Your project is 165 points, or 21.2%. Okay, so students said, oh wow, I can do well without doing the project. Wrong answer, because you'll lose 165 points. That's 21%. That drops you from a possibility of an 80 from 100. And if you have anything else below that, you don't want to be at 80. Go down here, that'll put you right dangling at a B minus. But that's just doing well on all of these and this. Well, okay. Anyway, the point of the matter is that then you have to make sure you score perfectly on the quizzes. Get 50 points that you have there. There are 5 quizzes, I think it is, because there are 10 questions each that you have. Week 1 is 1, and then you'll see it later on in your schedule. Your final exam, now I had students say, final exam is only 5.1%. I could blow the final exam. I said, you got the wrong attitude. Let me tell you, guys. The people who succeed are not the people who look at a way to shortcut, but those who achieve success are those who put in what I call sweat equity. And I know what that is. Hard work, and not be afraid or allergic to hard work. Okay. So anyway, you want to gain the 780 points, which puts you up here in this area in terms of your grading scale. That's where you want to be. Now, let me say this. My goal is to get everybody up here. I'd love to have a class full of A students. I have had quite a few. But I tell you this, some B students. But let me say this to you. You see this line here where it says C+? Listen. And this is what I tell students if they call me and ask me this, and I'm going to say it now without hesitation. Do not ask me how to get a C in my class. I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to tell you I don't give advice to students about how to get C's. So you know better than to ask me about how to get a D. But that, what would you want? You're spending good money for this, okay? You're going to hire somebody. You're going to hire the A student, the D student, or the C student. I know you're not telling me. But anyway, the point of the matter is that you have to look at it from that perspective. This is an investment in your future. So you want to, and now you know everything, but however, they're a strong indicator of how well you performed in the class. So anyway, the point of the matter is don't ask me how to get a C or lower. I'm not going to answer you. I'm not going to be rude. I'm just going to tell you I don't give that kind of advice. I really don't. I had a dean one time And she said, a student told me that she called you to ask you, she walked behind, she wanted to know what she needs to do to get a seat. I said, I referred to my initial orientation, which I always do. I said, and she said, good enough for me. Because we are not about that. Okay? Now, all right. So let's move right along. Let's talk about something that's really important here, transferable skills. Now, one of the things that I love about Rasmussen College or Rasmussen, however way you want to pronounce it, just spell it Rasmussen, however you say it. But here's my point, is that these skills that I'm going to go over you are so important, and they're called transferable. So what that means is that these are skills that we hone up in college to prepare you for your respective fields, whether it's corrections, law enforcement, probation officer, parole officer, forensics, and some of you go on to, I dare say, is I've got some already in this class that told me that they want to be a lawyer. Okay, I'm the right guy. I am. Yes. Okay, good. And so the key thing is I'm the right guy, not just because I have the last name right, but also because been there, done that. I know how to get through law school. So I said, oh, that was a long time ago. Still the same. Still got the same requirements. You got 4 years of undergrad, okay. Social work as well. I have a lot of students that are in human services that end up in this class as well, taking this. But anyway, my point to you is that these skills are so important to help you to achieve success in any field that you go into. Just like that little acronym that I showed you in my introduction, that I showed you about the word lawyers. L stands for listen and learn. A is for arithmetic. W is being able to write. E is being able to express yourself. R is being able to read. S is study, and then the Y is you. If you look at my little introduction that I sent to you, you will know what I'm talking about there. But at any rate, I want to talk about these skills. One of the first ones that we want you to be really good at is communication. Communication is critical. Written and oral communication, they're both required. You're going to write reports, particularly if you're in the criminal justice field. I don't care what area. Someone just putting their social worker, you're going to write a lot of reports. You're going to write reports if you're a police officer. You're going to write a report if you're an attorney or a prosecutor, forensics, probation, anything. You're going to do reports, and those reports are going to be valuable. And guess where a lot of those reports end up? C-O-U-R-T. There I say, court. Been there, done that, and used it. Communication, being able to express yourself and speak and be able to get people to understand. Even if you don't understand the language, there's a course I teach about critical skills, crime scenes to conviction, written and oral communication. And I talk about the importance of communication, written and oral. But we want to make sure that you understand. We're hard on that. And we want to make sure that you're a good community, a good communicator. Well, that's what we all need. Thank you. Yes, we want to make sure that you're good communicators. And you'll see me spending a lot of time doing that. Critical thinking. Oh, man. Critical thinking. Students sometimes don't understand that concept. It means just what it says. It means taking and analyzing concepts. It means taking the issues of the assignment, applying it to your research, together with your own assessment evaluations about what you feel or think. You might want to disagree with certain things that you've discovered, and then you will explain why you disagree. That's fine. Or you might agree, and then explain why you agree. This is you opening up. Let me say this to you guys. As a lawyer, I am a natural critical thinker. I can't help it. Well, I'm a critical thinker, not only just as a lawyer, I'm also a minister. I'm an ordained minister, pastor of the church, and been a minister since '89. And I have to speak about things to people and communicate. And I have to use my critical thinking along with the Bible or whatever it is I'm using. The matter is that I'm bringing something that I have brought to the table. I don't want to take everything that somebody else has said on face value. I want to explain why. Let me say this. As a lawyer, the way that the law changes is because someone comes along with critical thinking and presents a reason why we need to change those laws. And people come in and they present pros and cons. And so these are the type of things when we say critical thinking. We want you to be able to do these things. Also, you're going to have to be able to think quickly on your feet. Hey, law enforcement people. Hey, corrections people. Hello, light bulbs coming on. Critical thinking. That's what we work hard on here to get you ready. Digital fluency. Everything's digital. Textbooks. I am one who, being the age I am, 67, we didn't have such animals. Somebody said, how did you make it in college without the World Wide Web? I said, because I use these things called books. I went to a place called the library. I know about the Dewey Decimal System. I know about cross-referencing. I know how to do those kinds of things. But now, I had to adjust. The fact that I'm teaching you guys in a digital process, the fact that I'm using the World Wide Web and using this system of Blackboard and all of these things, and that you guys are sitting wherever you are and I'm at home teaching you guys, is because of the fact that we got this internet thing. But digital fluency, I got this thing in my hand here. This is my cell phone here. And on here, I have apps, including my textbook for all of my classes. And right here, I can pull them up. I can pull them up on my Android. I'm an Android rapper. There's a lot of people don't like iPhone Snap. I know. I'm an old Android person. So anyway, my Android pad, I can pull them up on my cell phone. The bottom line is that there are students who come in and say, oh, man, this is, this is really tough learning this. I said, hey, talk to that person. The reason I said not to be rude, but to say, hey, if I can do it, you're a millennial, you can do it. And it's the way of life, by the way. If I couldn't do this, I couldn't even teach you guys. And I had to learn that. I was hired by Rasmussen to teach residentially. Then they said, Professor Wright, we're going to be going online. Man! So I had to learn. And then when I learned one system, then they changed it to another system and another system. And they keep making changes. But guess what I do? I keep bringing myself up to speed because everything. When they gave me all these textbooks, now they said now they're in the course and ebooks. Yeah, there are problems that you have getting them, but guess what? When you do get them, they're so good. They're so nice. And trust me, they're not as heavy as the books we used to carry. Digital fluency. We want you to be fluent in that because that's what's going to happen when you're in your profession. Diversity. Let me tell you something. First of all, in class, we have people from all beliefs, backgrounds, walks of life. We have people who have been through some serious stuff. We have some people who have never been through anything real serious. We have some people who speak a language not clearly, don't speak it very well in terms of the English. But the point of the matter is that we help each other and we respect the positions that each of you have. Diversity is very important. We have people of all races, sex, national origins, sexual preferences, and so forth. But we don't knock anybody. We respect the fact that these people are all people that are just like you. One of the phrases that I cannot stand is and being African American, I'll tell you, is somebody says, "Oh, you people," I said, "Oh, hand raised up, hands raised up." I said, "What do you mean? What are you trying to say to me? I'm not any different than you. My color might be different. I might be from a different background, but I bet you one thing, if you cut me, I'll bleed red blood just like you." Anyway, the fact of the matter is diversity is important, guys. And we teach our students to respect each other. In your discussion posts, there are students who say stuff, and I say, "Oh, this is way out there." But then they'll explain why. And I don't shoot them down. I present my side. And your sides ought to be respected. Teamwork. Oh, by the way, we have a diversity and inclusion council. Yes, I'm on that council because I'm open to those kinds of things. Teamwork. That's the way that we operate. There's no Lone Rangers. When I was a kid and coming out in 8th grade of 65, not 18 either. It's 19. Yes. So anyway, what happened that but it was a song called "No Man is an Island." Is an island is a song that because what that meant is that man stands alone. It means teamwork. We all work together on teams, and you're going to learn that as well. Ethics. To support the position of the person who fired all those shots at the young man. Well, guess what? Those people are all being indicted because of false reports. And what uncovered it was video. Because we're in a society of digital fluency, again, everybody's got a digital camera. Everybody's got digital phone. Everybody's got, you know what, you go, the police now have body cams. They have dash cams. There are cameras even in the streets, on the top of the poles and places. Stores now have tapes and videos. And so anyway, it's all over the place. The fact of the matter is that you have to be ethical. You have to follow what's right. And don't get into the code of silence thing because it will land you in jail. And so we teach you to be very ethical. There's a course that in criminal justice now that we're happy to say the School of Justice Studies now has back relating to ethics, which is so critical and important. Finally, information literacy. There's information all over the place. You're going to find information all over the place. You're going to be able to find things that you use that are valuable. I already referred to Wikipedia. Don't use it. It's no good. But make sure that you use credible information. So, good. It's very important. I used to teach ethics in criminal justice. I hope to teach that other course in the future because I taught ethics in business and medicine and in all the other fields. So anyway, very important thing. So anyway, moving right along here, our late assignment policy. I'm not going to go into except to say this. For every day that you miss an assignment, you lose 10%. Says after 7 days, it's a 0. But it might as well be. But let's say, for example, if I don't decide to do that, and you lose 10% of a grade. So let's say if the grade is 100, and you lose 10% each day. By the time you get to the 7th day, your grade is going to be, even if it's a good 30, which is failing. So it would behoove you to get your assignments in on time. Now, I already told you about this, but I'll say this. Online discussions conclude at the end of the weekly module. This is a school policy and won't be accepted. What I will do is I will say, oh, that's a good post. You had all the details detailed information. However, it was submitted after the discussion form ended, and you get 0 points. So you could have a good one, but it'll be too late. You can't make them up. Now, this line here refers to everything but the discussion post. Instructors may waive the late penalty or time frame in the case of extenuating circumstances as determined by the faculty. I'm pointing to myself. That would be me. How can I do that if you don't let me know? Well, he's not going to give me a chance. And you're doing an assumption, which is not a good thing. You know, I already talked about it. There's only 2 answers that are really credible, that usually come out of something when you ask somebody, yes or no. Very rarely is it maybe so. Generally, it's yes or no, generally. So, you know, take your chances and ask. But let me tell you this. You know who first knows whether or not it's really extenuating other than me? You. And, you know, ask yourself, if you were in my shoes, would you give me a chance? But I've had some people, I had a student already, she just sent me a message that she lost a relative and she just started, and I wanted to let her know. Well, the critical thinking aspect of it, I really can't help you very much. I've explained it, but what I will recommend as far as critical thinking is to look it up under Google critical thinking, and it'll tell you what that is. It's just basically analyzing the concepts. I talked about it quite a bit, but because I don't want to spend a whole lot more time because we're at 8 minutes, but we got a little more material to cover, and I want to make sure I get this. If you need to talk to me more about that, get in touch with me, and then I'll give you some more help with that. So make sure that you get it. But my suggestion first, right off the bat, is check it up. Look it up. Google it. It'll tell you. That's one of the few times when I tell you. This is our academic integrity policy. Make sure that you abide by this. Make sure. Okay. And I don't tell students no when they ask me for help. I don't tell them. They ask me to help them cheat, you know, and then I can do that anyway. But anyway, you know what I mean. I help you guys. I'm here. So anyway, you read this yourself and make sure that you're not doing any of these things. By the way, let me tell you this. We tell you also in terms of cheating. Do you know that when you take these exams, these quizzes and exams, and their time, we don't know if you are looking at something else or not. But we do know one thing for sure. If you're doing that, you're not going to be able to finish the exam, which indicates probably you're doing something wrong. So you have to, you know, operate on the basis that, you know, it's going to catch you up one way or the other. The bottom line is, come on, guys, let's get into ethics and be very ethical, because, like I said, if you're unethical in school and you become an unethical professional, the people that you're trying to send to jail or you're talking to in jail where you work at your corrections might be your cellmates. Just saying, okay? All right, let's get to the course calendar. Okay, here we go. Course calendar, come on. Here we go. Okay, this you should be familiar with. Student asked me, well, when is such and such due? I know you didn't look at the course calendar. I know you didn't, because it answers that for you. Notice the reading assignments started the first day. Then your initial post, the open house tonight, your reply post by tomorrow night. Then by Sunday, your written assignment, your quiz, and then your course project introduction, which I'm going to talk about in a few. So don't go away. Hang on. Then we start over again with week 2, and you'll notice that now your reply post, your initial post, instead of being Friday, are now Tuesday. And that your live lecture will take place on Wednesday, not Friday, okay? The only reason I did it Friday is because I want to make sure that I got an open house in before next week. This has never happened before. It's the first time. But I did 2 tonight. I did 3 yesterday. So I'm making sure that all of my students are brought up to speed so you could be off to a successful start. And then you see going along every week there. Okay. So now, all the way through, you'll see it all the way through. You can click over, and then it'll show you the next month. And then it'll show you the last month. Okay, so you have this, and you have access to that as well. All right. Now, let's get into our week assignments this week. Let's start with the assignments. Again, let's make it clear what your actual written assignments are. The Elements of Correction System. Now, 2-page paper. Notice it says 2 pages. Notice it also says grammar, spelling, and APA format. And then it says for more information about APA, again, I've already led you to that. Now, I already told you you'll lose 5 points if you don't have the APA. I've seen some excellent papers, but they didn't have the APA in there, okay? And I have to keep reminding you that. Then your discussion posts, and then the quiz. Those are the assignments for the week, all right? And I've already gone over when they're due and all of that. Now, let's go back. And I'm going to go a little bit over because I'm trying to make sure that you get this information, because this, I'm going to be having it sent, but there's going to be some things that you'll want to hear at the very end. This is, again, repeating the assignment. The reading, the criminal justice system, you'll see that in a few minutes there. Course project, and then your discussion, your quiz. We talk about tutoring, and then, of course, you have your live classroom here. Now, let's talk about what an introduction to correction system is all about. We're not going to go into this in detail because if I was doing a regular lecture, I would go over all of this. But take time to read this, because it helps you. It helps you with your assignments. It helps you to understand things as well. And during the course of our lectures every week, I will be talking about this. Then there's a historical perspective given after that, which goes all the way from 1781 all the way to the 20th century. And if you clicked on it, it gives you the information right up at the top there, and it explains things there. So I'm not going to take time to do that. But these are the things I'm talking about that look at. Now, let's talk about this. This is so important. Now, so important that I am going to spend a little bit of time on this, because this will help you later in the quarter, I guarantee you. It says, in front of me, it says, corrections consist of one of four components: probation, parole, jail, or prison. Probation, parole, jail, or prison. Does not include courts, police officers, or any of those other things. It involves parole, probation, jail, or prison. Now, it says you're going to select one of these components. It must be one of these 4, no others. I've had students that come back later and they want to write about the state's attorney's office. They want to write about the public defender's office. And I have to say to them, no. Week 1 says probation, parole, jail, or prison. By the way, this course is Introductions to Corrections, and the correctional system consists of these various stages, okay? This one and this one includes outside. This one and this one includes incarceration. It says, and contact a staff person or an agency. Schedule an in-person interview so you can learn what it's like to work in that field. That's what you're going to have to do. That's what you're going to have to do. Okay? Ask also if you can tour the facility. Sometimes there are problems with that, but you can only ask. But due to security and data privacy, some agencies may not be able to accommodate more than an interview. That's fine. An in-person interview is optimal, but telephone interviews are acceptable with prior approval. I'm giving you that approval right now, so you don't have to ask me later. It says I need your prior approval. I got it. You got it. Okay? Period. You will have some assigned interview questions, which you will receive, but you'll also want to explore those of interest to you. So don't just settle with those questions. Remember what you're doing, guys. You're focusing on things that you intend to do in the future. So you want to, it's almost like getting an internship or externship going here, but you get a grade for it. In addition to your interview, you'll conduct research into the background of your agency and possible solutions to the challenges identified during your interview. So these are the things, and then you're going to have citations and references about these things, APA. While working on this project, I know I'm reading it, but I'm saying it because, trust me, a lot of students lose this. I'm really trying to get this on so that we don't have this over the next 11 weeks. You'll have an opportunity to display your competency in writing, reading, and oral communication skills. Sounds like transferable skills to me. You will need to maintain a professional manner, of course, while conducting the interview, demonstrating grammar, sentence structure, punctuation, spelling in your final review board. By the way, not outline either, just essay. There are many resources available to help you, okay? Now, I already talked about diversity and teamwork. You will develop a better understanding working with people from diverse backgrounds. We already talked about that, okay? Now, let's look at the schedule. Let's look at the schedule. Professor Wright went over. Okay, if you have to go, I understand. But I just want to keep this going because I want to help you, okay? Your final project is due Module 9. That's only 8 weeks away from now, okay? There'll be other individual assignments along the way. I'm showing you this now. Now, to answer the question that many students have asked for week 1, this is not highlighted. But what it is an introduction to the project and field visit. That's what I'm helping you do now in this open house by taking this time to go over this, to prepare you so that you will start off on the right foot. Because in week 2, you're going to have a written assignment by selecting the agency and contact person. Follow what it says in week 2. I'll be discussing that next week because next week will be week 2. So you'll want to be here on Wednesday to make sure that if you have any questions, you want to make sure that you get those answered. Very, very important. Week 4, notice that 3, you don't have anything. Now this is the project, you have other things. Agency overview and background, 4. Then you got 3 weeks after that before your interview report, and then week 9, your final submission. This is the schedule. These are the things that you have to do. So notice 2, 4, 7, and 9 is when you're really working on written items for the project. Now, just to peek you, the requirements. Here are the required interview questions. Remember I told you earlier, plus some others. These are the questions. And you know what I tell students? Make sure that you, number one, and then write about it. Don't just throw in, a few words, something. No, elaborate on it. Give me, what are the minimum requirements to be hired for your position? What are they? And write those out. Don't just say a high school diploma. Don't just say that. Explain. Ask the questions during your interview with the person, about it. You're going to find that, yes, high school diploma, but now it's gradually moving up to associates and moving up to bachelor's. You feel that you guys are here in school so that you can get the higher positions. Like I told you about my student earlier, who has a bachelor's, and now she's a major. She's the head of the facility when there's no warden. Then the answer 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to go over each of these, but it's right there. So if somebody says to me, Professor Wright, I can't find the interview questions, I'll say, go back and listen to the archive. In addition to these required questions, the interview should also include a minimum of 3 questions of your choice. So that means at least a minimum. And don't always go with the minimum. I never went with the minimum. I went with whatever I thought was good to provide excellent information to my professors, and I got the results that came back as a result of that. Research into the selected agency, and then, it tells you, the things that you need to do. Ethics and professional responsibility. Notice, you see what I'm doing here? You see these are transferable skills that I talked about earlier, and why I took the time to talk about, because you're actually using those in your project. And then ethics and professional responsibility, you read that. Digital fluency, websites and things like that, and all the requirements here. Information literacy, here we go. You will be expected to identify relevant information associated with your research and incorporate into your final project. Remember, your responses need to be credible. Remember I said this? And I said this before I even started teaching this class. For example, Wikipedia is not considered a credible source, period. Okay? No, because that's law enforcement. That's law enforcement. No, you cannot. It's got to be one of these I told you. No, detective doesn't fit in that. That's back to the same issue that I told students before. Nope. It's because detectives don't deal with people who already have been found guilty. They deal with people before they found guilty. So no, that's the answer. Remember, this course is corrections. And corrections, if a person is found not guilty, do they need corrections? No. If they plead guilty, do they need corrections? Yes. So the point is, if they're guilty by some form or another, and that's where we're operating in this course. Okay. Good question, though, because I had students that say, Detective Paul, I said, that's still law enforcement. Evaluation, each assignment leading up to the final assignment is evaluated and independently graded. I'll show you. I'll provide you criteria, which I did, and then for further questions, please ask me, and so forth. So, or submit a general course question, or either do what I just said earlier. Text me, email me, or reach out to me. And this is the tutoring. Again, back to that again. And that's it for that. Now, what I want to do right now, I think I've covered everything. Yes. Any questions? And try to do, not privately, try to do everyone. I see some of you typing in privately. I need you to put it in publicly. It's okay, because if you were in class and you asked me this question, the whole class would benefit from it. And that's the key thing. Any questions? Because I'm going to end with giving you something, telling you something that is very important for you to know about your professor, so that you'll understand why I'm committed. Any questions? Any questions about? You just hit everyone. Instead of this tab here down, it says the names of individuals. If you just hit everyone, then everyone can see it. That's how you make it. That's how you do it. Any questions on the project? Okay. For the interview or probation, would you go to your police station? No. You go to the probation department. And you're in Cook County, Raynell, right? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Oh, I don't know about Georgia. But you go to the probation department. You go to the probation department for probation. You don't go to the police station. Remember again what I said. Think about what you're doing here. I said parole, probation, jail, or prison. These are dispositions for people who have been found guilty. Detectives conduct investigations for evidence to determine whether a person committed a crime. All that's over with. So we're in this class, but yeah, go to your probation department in your county where you are in. I don't know what part of Georgia that you're in, but I know that there's Decatur, there's DeKalb. That's the only two I know out there. So anyway, you go to the county, and then if that's what you want to do, probation. Remember, probation or parole. Now you can go to your courthouses and go to the departments still. If I know a probation officer will ever, yeah, that's probation. Yeah, that's probation. Yeah, that's absolutely who I'm talking about. Okay? So those kinds of things. Any other questions? Trust me, it's good for you to ask these questions now, because you get further down into it, you start doing your interview and all that, and I come back and say, wrong. No, let's get it fixed up front, or in the old term that we use from Jump Street. Anything else about the project? Don't be coy or afraid. Even if the detective works inside jail. Well, no, the detectives, the way I view detectives, they're investigating to try to put somebody away. We can ask as many questions as we want. Yeah, but make sure you satisfy those required questions. Remember that. And then you can go as many after that. Yeah, I said there's a minimum of 3 of your choice after that, in addition to that. But the point of the matter is that if that person works inside the jail, no, I still should stay away from detectives. The word detective, in my understanding in law enforcement, I've been a police officer as well. Detectives are higher levels of police officers, and they deal with a person before a conviction. Okay? All right, so and no more questions. Let me say this to you, and it's going to take me a few minutes to share this with you. I want you to understand something about me. Okay. I want you to understand something about me. I am really, really, really committed to criminal justice and working. I worked many years as a criminal defense lawyer, as a prosecutor, and defense attorney for most of my life. Like, I represented people who were charged with very serious crimes, bad dudes, and gangs and drug dealers and all of that. And I was pretty good at that stuff. But let me tell you why I ended up in that. When I was a kid, and I was 7 years old, which was a long time ago. I go back to years, 1957. My dad and mom rented to a guy in our house. It turned out that guy and my mother were having an affair. And on Memorial Day of 1957, after my dad and I had come from a baseball game, this guy and my father got into a fight in the house. At that time, I was 7. I had 5 younger sisters. We were all in one room. Well, the fight ended up in that bedroom. Well, the guy ended up taking out a knife. And he took out a knife right there in front of us kids. And he stabbed my dad in the forehead with the knife. Now, I told you I have a photographic memory, so I will always remember this, unless I get Alzheimer's or something like that, but it's etched in here. Well, the guy didn't go to jail for killing my father. He ended up not going to jail. They nollie prosecute case, and you'll learn what that term means. It means that prosecution decided not to prosecute because they didn't have adequate evidence. It turns out that my mother at that time said that my father was the aggressor, which really wasn't true. And so anyway, she was in love with this guy. So he didn't go to jail. He ended up living in the house with us. After that, the house turned into a house of domestic violence. The man used to beat my mother on a regular basis. And he would go to jail, she'd go right back and get him and bring him back home. This went on for 5 years. In the meantime, he fathered 2 more kids. They were all girls. The 5 that were alive when my father was killed. And then 2 more were fathered by this same man. Well, in 1963, when my baby sister was just a little over a year old, Memorial Day of 63, he killed my mother. Same man. He stabbed her, not in front of us, but drove her across state lines from Indiana to Illinois, parked her body, and let her bleed to death. I was 13 at the time, and the only boy and the oldest, and we were forced to live with an aunt. And living with that aunt, I discovered that the man who was pleading guilty, they were sentencing him to 10 years. 10, like all my fingers. But at that time, 10 automatically meant 5. So that meant that he was going to get 5 years. And then they told me further that people started telling us about this, that because if he had good behavior while he was in prison, that he could be released after 3.5 years. By this time, I'm 14 years old, and I'm really, it troubled me. Of course, you can see. And when I get troubled, I start asking a lot of questions. And so I asked the questions of many people. Then finally somebody came to me and said, Richard, that's just the way it is. I said, what do you mean, just the way it is? They said, that's the law. I said, law? Tell me about the law. And they started saying that the law was controlled by lawyers. And I said, what about lawyers? So here's me. I said, okay, I'm going to find out about this. I went to school, and I asked the librarian, I was in grammar school, do we have any books on lawyers or attorneys? She said, we have one little book. And I took that book and checked it out of the library. And I took that book in my room and stayed up all night reading that book. And the next day, guys, anybody I met, I didn't care if I didn't know you. I'd say, my name is Richard Wright, and I extend my hand to you. I says, and I'm going to be a lawyer. I was 14 years old. So that was my life thing to do. And so as a result, I ended up going through. I got married right away after high school. I was 19. 2 kids came along. I was going to school at night on the bus studying, but I was still, I was on the dean's list in the honor roll. I was determined to get that law degree. And so I continued studying. And then wouldn't nothing stop me. I had to be at work at 8:30 in the morning, and I had to be at school at 4:30, and I got out of school at 10 o'clock and had right back on the L train in Chicago. Those of you from Chicago know what I'm talking about. And then you call it the subway in New York. But I did that. I studied hard. But I had a determination of what I wanted to do. Along the way, I got a job at the law firm, starting in their mailroom. I was a messenger. And every lawyer I met, I told them, I'm going to be a lawyer. And they took me up on it, so I became a file clerk in the law firm. I became from a messenger to a file clerk, and then a law librarian. And then what's now called paralegal, I became a law clerk. In the meantime, I graduated with honors. So that's thank you. That's okay. It's why I say my motto is adversity is the springboard to success. So I kept pressing on, guys, no matter what, because I had something I wanted to do. Well, when I was in, and then I got accepted in a good law school, Northwestern University School of Law. And when I got there, I met a man who was a distinguished trial lawyer. Thank you. Thank you. I had this lawyer, and he said to me, Richard, and I told him my story. He took me over to the courthouse at 26 in California, which was our thank you, our courthouse, and he took me through the records. His name was Eugene Pencham. Judge Pencham passed away some years ago. He said, if you want to be really good and learn this, I know you have a tendency to possibly become a prosecutor. He says, but be a defense lawyer. I took him up on it, and I started representing murderers, and I was good. I didn't lose a jury. I'd stand in front of juries, and I'd be able to talk and be able to get my position across and points. I used my critical thinking. I created things that got people to go along with what I was saying. I met people along the way. I sat under for a little while Johnny Cochran. That name familiar? He was O.J. Simpson's attorney. I sat under some great trial lawyers and just listen and learn. And yeah, Johnny came to Chicago for a while and was a lawyer here. So I learned those things, guys. But along the way, when I got married to my second wife, yeah, I'm from Chicago. I'm from Chicago. I ended up becoming appointed the village attorney in a tough town. It's in the south suburbs of Chicago. For those of you who are in the south suburbs, it's called Ford Heights. And I was the village attorney and became a village prosecutor, part-time police officer, and then an investigator in that town. And Anyway, the bottom line is that I ended up learning all aspects of this business. I worked with correction officers a lot, a whole lot, before I started teaching. I used to go to the prisons and visit and talk to inmates, and I learned a lot about how the whole process worked. So I know the whole gamut. And so I became what I am today. I found my way through. I retired when I was 50 in 2000. Taught special education for a while. Ran some businesses. I hobnobbed with people and worked with people like Ray. Just in case you don't know who that is, when I was a messenger at the law firm, he was the founder of McDonald's, and he took me and mentored me for a couple of years. The fact that I had some pretty good exposure, but all of these people took an interest in me along the way because they saw me. They saw me pushing hard, and they knew I had a goal, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me. So I came to Rasmussen College in 2011 to teach business law. Yeah. And I told them, I said, this is cool, but I don't want to teach business law. I'm a criminal justice guy. And then they put me into criminal justice. One of the courses that they asked me to teach, and I taught it just differently from anybody, domestic violence. I started out the very first day reading a letter about my story and what I went through as a kid, domestic violence. But I redacted our names, and at the end, my students said, wow, that person had a tough road, and asked me questions about the people, and asked me where was the young man. And I took off my glasses, and tears started coming down, and they said, including Nina Watts, I talked about her earlier. She's a corrections officer who's on a law school, one of my former students, about 4 of my classes. I said, that story was about me. And they all ran up and embraced me and grabbed me because they said, you are amazing. I said, well, thank you, but I want you to understand why I'm so dogmatic about you guys becoming professionals and doing well. And I'm here for you guys. I teach a lot of different courses, criminal law, introduction to criminal law. You can almost ask your advisors. They'll be able to let you know what courses I teach and so forth. And there are students who come, they go asking for me. And I have students in classes that I've had before that are in classes with me this quarter. But I taught a lot of them, so I won't go through the whole list right now. I'll let you know about that if you talk to me some other time about that. But anyway, the bottom line is that I just want you to know why I am the way I am. I want to see perfection because you know what, guys? I want to see, let me tell you, as a defense lawyer, you know how I won a lot of my cases, not just because I could get the jury to understand, because law enforcement, the police officers, the probation, all the people, they weren't ready. They were not ready. And I went right through the holes. And so I'm teaching you guys how to help plug these holes up so you can become good at whatever you decide. And should you decide to go to law school, I already told a few of you guys, hey, let me know. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. And I'm a person who believes in doing what I say. So anyway, my eyes are a little bit teary, but that's okay. And I have people say, I'm sorry you went through that. I says, well, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's my path. But guess what? That's why my motto that you see at the end of every announcement that you'll see, and I'm showing it to you right here, will say this. One more, get down. adversity is the springboard to success. I mean what I say. Now it makes more sense. I'm not just trying to pump you up. I'm telling you like it is. Don't let anything stop you. I had people along the way to tell me I didn't have what it took to become a lawyer. Even relatives. They said you were aiming too high. I didn't tell them. I'll show you. Never make that mistake. Nike said it best with 3 words. Just do it. Just do it. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Oh, boy. See, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here. So anyway, for the next 11 weeks, you'll have me. And then, like I said again, I'll always announce what classes I'm teaching at the end of the quarter for the next quarter. I know for the last so many quarters, I've taught introduction to corrections, introduction to criminal law, introduction, critical skill issues in criminal justice, crime scenes to convictions. So I'll probably see you further down the road. Trust me, there's a lot of students who'll say, yeah, I had Professor Wright, and I'm so happy when I see students. And by the way, I don't fail students. Students fail students. Like I said again, that's why my wife, she'll tell you, she'll say, my wife, I've been married now to my current wife. You saw my kids and my current wife on the picture there that support me strongly because they know my heart is in this. It's not just something, I'm 67, I'm retired, but I still love imparting knowledge to young people. So that's it. So I'm sorry I kept you guys a little later, but I wanted to share that with you so that you will, be able to better understand why I'm empathetic when it comes to my students. I love my students so much. I love success. My next favorite activity is academic awards, but my favorite activity is graduation. Like that picture that I provided to you. The picture that I love so much to be able to share with all of you guys and my students. And this is it right here. It is down here. Let's get it up there. There we go. Not that one. That's all of my family. But this one right here. Oops, went past it. That one right there. Getting that law degree. 1978. Oh. Anytime, guys, I'm here to help you. Okay? So I'm going to say good night. You guys have a good evening, good weekend. Hope to see you guys next week. Next Wednesday, remember, not Friday, at the same time. And we won't be going as long, but this time I wanted to make sure that project thing is so important to get it clear from the beginning. So, okay? So, good night, guys, and just be encouraged, not discouraged, knowing that you have one professor that is really committed and opens up and is transparent to his students. Okay? Okay, thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. Okay, good night, guys. I don't want to hold you any longer.